Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the deal-making panel, Driving into New Tech. We're going to have today on stage two business cases. One of them from Benjamin Kuna, co-founder of Tilco, and the other one from Jakub Krzych, CEO and co-founder of Estimate. So first on stage is going to be Ben. You have the word.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the furniture market and how we found our place within it. So starting off, the furniture market is one of the largest consumer categories in the world. It is estimated to be worth around $463 billion annually. That's a lot of billions. And the majority of this market is, sorry, not the majority, but a large part of this market is already online. So it would seem as if e-commerce was thriving and all of us would be buying furniture online. But let me start off with a question. By show of hands, how many of you have researched your furniture product before buying it anywhere? Just did the research online? Okay, so that's nearly all of you. According to a study, most Europeans, and that is almost 90%, do their research online before making their final purchase. But let me turn it into another question. How many of you have actually bought furniture online, let's say, in the last 12 months? Okay, if you look around, that's very, very few of you. And the reason for that is that Europe actually has a very, very slim part of the entire online market with a clear dominance of Asia. So despite the fact that a lot of us use the internet to do their research, not many buy. And going deeper into this case, on an example of Germany, we see that the e-commerce penetration in media and fashion industries very much dominate the furniture industry. So there's two conclusions to be taken from this. One, there's a lot of room to improve and grow. And the second one is that we just clearly prefer to still buy our furniture the traditional way in retail stores. So why is that? We see that the growth in the coming years will be mainly driven by online, very much so in Europe. It is estimated that the market will be worth about $220 billion by 2021, but I've already seen reports which show that it's going to be worth twice that. So basically, the experience has a lot to do with how we go about increasing this market size and also making it available for people to shop online. So focusing on the offline experience. The reason we go to stores is because we want to touch the furniture. We want to feel it, we want to smell it, we want to take a look at it because it's an item that will accommodate our homes for many, many years to come. So we want to really be sure whether this will fit our place or not. Another reason is that, and let's face it, none of us are furniture experts or experts on the materials that the furniture is made of. So we like to get the opinion of someone who works at the store, a designer, or a salesperson to let us know whether we're making the right choice. But when going into these stores, we are confronted with a lot of clutter and a lot of items which actually make it hard for us to visualize how this is going to look like in our space and whether this will fit us or not. So the experience can be quite overwhelming. The downsides of that experience is that on one end, we need to invest a lot of time. So usually we take our weekend off to go through stores and walk through mazes of stuff we don't really need. The second thing is that when we want to do an instant purchase, we usually have to organize our own logistics. So we somehow need to squeeze this giant item into our tiny car and drive it home. And then once we're home, we need to assemble it. And I think we've all been there. This can be an easy spark for a fight or a breakup or even divorce. So last but not least, big brands are experts in masking cheap finishes with seemingly high quality looking materials. So what appears to be solid wood isn't exactly what you might think it is, and it will likely break down within the next couple of years and create a need of replacing that item, which is also a risk. So On the contrary side, when we look at the online experience, what we are usually facing is a page like this. So most of the brands who want to sell online have copy-pasted the traditional e-commerce model that we know from consumer electronics, where they just show a pack shop of the product, give some very basic information, but it's very difficult to imagine how this is going to look like in our space, whether this will fit us or not. And there's a couple of pain points that we can very easily find in this experience. And one of them is that there's a limited product information, so we don't know much about it. We don't know whether it will fit or not. And we don't get the advice and service we often seek in retail offline locations, which is so valuable. And last but not least is the assembly, which we really don't know how much of our precious time it will eventually take. So because of that, together with a group of friends a few years ago, we have decided to face this industry and be radically open-minded about how we can put the customer in the front and basically create a consumer-centric brand which would design all processes from designing the actual furniture to the production, the assembly, packaging, and so on, to make the life of the customer easier and create something which will become a no-brainer for him to choose from. So right now I want to show you a quick video of our process and the way it looks like when you want to order Tilco furniture. So this is our app, which is powered by augmented reality. You can very easily place your furniture in your room at exactly the spot where you want to have it. With a scroll of your thumb, you can adjust the width of the furniture. You can also set the height of it so it fits you accordingly up to the centimeter. You can also choose from different styles, so it not only matches your dimensions, but also the aesthetics. And then when you order the furniture, it comes in a flat pack box. Full disclaimer to all the lawyers, it doesn't come shipped as quickly as in the video, but it's very easy to assemble with your own hands. So basically it takes out all the frustration we know from big Swedish companies to assemble it. And what's most important, you have 100 days to return it if you're unhappy with the product. So no questions asked. If you're unhappy, we will pay for the courier to actually take it from your home and give you back all of the money. And also what's worth mentioning is that we work with high-quality material suppliers from Northern Europe who work with sustainably managed forests to really provide you the best quality that we can find on the market in terms of birch plywood, which is one of the most robust materials found in the furniture market. So to sum up the Tilco experience, we're trying to provide our customers with very extensive product information. We give them a lot of information on where the furniture came from, how it was processed. We tell our customers that all of the employees earn a fair wage at the factory. We also make it available for customers to perfectly fit the furniture. It's something that they would never find offline other than with working with expensive interior designers and carpenters. And we give them the ability to try the furniture before they spend even a cent. Another thing we have introduced is nearly around-the-clock customer service, which responds within 2 minutes to any questions. It is not outsourced. It's an internal team of design experts and service consultants that help you make the right choice. And then lastly, we take off all the pains from the assembly and the potential returns you might have. So to sum up, I want to show you how this reflects in our numbers. So Tilco was started at the end of 2015 by 5 founders. Right now, we're a team of 47 operating from our offices in Warsaw and Berlin. We have sold over 10,000 shelves to date, out of which the majority was sold last year. We have received 34 returns last year from our 100-day free return policy. And less than 5% of our sales come from Poland. So our main markets are Germany, the UK, and France. And according to a recent survey we have conducted, our Net Promoter Score is 74, which means that a lot of our customers actually refer the product to their friends and family. And all of that has made it possible for us to grow in revenue. So From close to 1 million in 2016, we were able to achieve nearly 5.5 million euros last year, with much more ambitious goals set for this year. And because of that, we will be conducting a Series B by the end of this year. So to all of you who are interested in talking about this further, you can contact me on either LinkedIn or shoot me an email directly. And yeah, basically that's it from my side. If you have any questions, we still have a little time to discuss, so I'd be very happy to answer them. Okay, doesn't look like. Thank you very much.
Ben, thank you so much for a great presentation. Now we're going... Sorry?
Oh, yeah.
I have a quick question. Do you have manufacturing facility, or you're outsourcing everything? So are you pure online? And
we don't own the manufacturing, but we have a partner relationship with our manufacturer. So we have designed parts of the processes that are used by our manufacturer, but the process is outsourced.
So we have another question over here.
Sammy Mugrabi from Tech Capital. In your experience as a founder, what has been the most frustrating thing when it comes to investors and some of the questions you receive?
It's great that you have introduced yourself, Sammy. Thank you for this. The most frustrating thing again, sorry?
The most frustrating, let's say, issues that come about from investors, be it, are there due diligence issues? Are there things that they would require that kind of don't fit the traditional scheme? Like, have you come across any frustrating experiences with those types of investors?
So we have been very careful with picking our investors, so I have to say that most of our experiences were very good. But on a due diligence phase, we have noticed that a lot of investors have went deep into the process without really understanding what we're trying to achieve and what our product is about and what the mission is. So I assume that there was a bit of a mismatch with our vision and the investor's vision within the early stages of the investment. But after having the investors on board, we didn't have many issues actually that we didn't like. So we like it when investors become hands-on and help us with operational issues.
Thank you for the lovely presentation.
Thank you, Sammy.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Ben. Now we're going to welcome on stage Jakub Schich, CEO and co-founder of Estimode. Jakub, you have the word.
Awesome, thank you so much. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this session, and thank you so much for the organizers for inviting me in. So they said, yeah, there's going to be a cool conference in Warsaw, not far from Krakow, where I come from, and they're going to say it's going to lots of smart people. Why don't you come and just tell us about the future IoT? And I said, yeah, I can totally do that, right? So I'm here today to show you about the future, about the IoT and something we call software-defined physical world. But before we start about the future, I want to tell you a little bit about the past. So we're in Central Europe, and some of you might be familiar with this guy. He's Stanisław Lem, a famous Polish science fiction writer. So he was born before the war, and he actually used to live in Krakow as well. So he wrote many, many books. Some of you might be familiar with Solaris and some other science fiction book. They've been written in 51 or 65. It was 40 years ago, before iPhone, before Facebook, and before machine learning and blockchain. But these been an inspiration for companies like we are, because they anticipated what's going to be the future that we can today execute. So let me tell you a story from one of his books that is called Wizja Lokalna. It means observation of the spot. It's a book about that guy, Elon Tichy. It's a kind of hero space galaxy explorer. He's visiting different galaxies, trying to visit different planets and figure out how people live, how they build their societies, how they build their worlds. So one of the planets he's visiting is called planet Encia. And that planet is unique. It's divided into two civilizations. They are a little bit against each other. They are a little bit opposite. So the first civilization is called Kurlandia. It's a civilization that's been using the technology and innovation against people, to terrorize people. That book was written in 1981 when I was born. So this was purely probably inspired by, you know, the previous sort of system that we had here. And it was all about, you know, creating a society or using the technology to kind of, you know, leverage the people, not in order for them to be successful, but just kind of leverage them economically. And that's kind of half of the planet, right? The other half is civilization called Lusania. It's probably inspired by like a Western societies, you know, back then. And this is all about technology being used for the people, to protect people, to make them healthy, to make them happy, you know, to provide an environment so they can be creative and they can, you know, achieve their dreams. So it's really, it's really interesting. How they do that in that book written 40 years ago? They use a technology that is called ethicosphere. It basically means it's a combination of planet, technology, society, environment that prevents people from acting unethical, right? How? Let me explain. It's a sort of smart dust. These are like little tiny robotic nano computers that are flying around, talking to each other, sensing, and being able to act. So for example, like if I wanted to hit someone, this little intelligent, you know, smart dust would detect my intention and would prevent it by introducing some sort of a pressure air wave. This is, again, this is a book written 40 years ago, right? So in that book, you know, they describe specifically how it works. So these are little computers. They have different sensors. They are tiny. They talk to each other, and those you know, they're often referred as motes. You know, something the flower does produce. You know, and the mote is also an element of a wireless network. So today, if you have a lot of little computers, they talk to each other, they connected in a mesh, they're also called modes. So now, you know what we do at Estimote, right? So it's a company based in Krakow, with offices in New York and San Francisco, and we are just trying to take this concept from 40 years ago and make it a reality today. How we do it? It's very simple. We have a technology, it's a sensor technology that allows us precisely understand the context of the situation inside the buildings or of retail, distribution center, offices. So this, what you see here, is not a computer game. It's a preview of our office. We know very precisely, you know, where everyone and everything is. Why and how? It's because we manufacture and we design software for teeny, tiny computers that you can spread around, and they talk to each other, and they have the sensing power and this kind of location intelligence. So we are able to precisely locate objects and people, and also get the context, you know, where you are, what's around you, what kind of objects, you know, why you're there. So let me show you how it works. So every tiny computer, it's called beacon. So essentially, it's a chip, it's a silicon, taking an energy from like a tiny watch battery, and then, you know, talking to other beacons and talking to your phones in your pocket, and then providing this sort of, you know, location intelligence. And they are typically installed in retail, distribution centers, smart offices. This is something you can attach to objects, so you can attach to walls. They can last many years, like 5 years without charging. They talk to each other, they build the map of the venue automatically. It's a really cool technology, you know, from the past, executed today. And of course, how this can be used. So I'm gonna show you some examples. So the typical use is today is, you know, providing contextual content for the mobile phones, right? So if we know where everyone is and what's the context around, like we can provide better service, better contextual content and data. So the technology we're using today for this, it's partially based on a number of wireless technologies, like, for example, Bluetooth and ultra-wideband. So you must be surprised, you could be surprised that Bluetooth is the fastest growing connectivity technology ever. It's growing actually much faster. Why? Because consumers, they love all those wireless accessories, right? And all those phones that you have in your pocket that have actually Bluetooth and other wireless radios, they create a sort of platform for those little low-power intelligent devices that can talk to each other, and they can talk to your phones, and they can kind of do magical stuff. Let me show you some examples. So one of our customers is a US-based e-commerce site, fairly aggressive, cannot tell you the name, right? But these guys, they've been always trying to optimize margins and try to kind of compete with other retailers. So the most recently, they have a project where they don't want to use like courier firms like UPS or FedEx. They just want to bring ordinary people, like Uber-like, So you wake up in the morning, you have an app. They tell you which distribution center you should go. They pay you $20 per hour, whatever. And the challenge today is that with the GPS technologies and old school location technologies, it's a mess because they don't know where those people are. They've never been into the distribution center. It takes them few hours to get the packaging, right? With the location technology, we can make those people successful because the phone they have in the pocket that is talking to this intelligent location can point them specifically to object and zone and make them successful. So it's one of the customers fully roll out globally. There are other examples. So it's a Spain network of fast bullet trains. Like they need to authenticate the drivers. Every driver has a tablet. They need to know where he is, whether he ended up in the right train. So he cannot act unethically taking some other train, right? There are some Scandinavian furniture companies as well that are using our technology in their office, right? They have this Scandinavian philosophy of enabling people to talk to each other, to meet each other. So they don't want people to have permanent desks. So now, every day in their office, everyone is sitting different floor, different place, which is cool, but they have no clue where everyone is today, right? So there's a technology in the office making the office smart so they can find objects, find people, and of course, drive amount of data. There's many use cases. I will skip through many of them. Yet another example from US, one of the largest, the most valuable company on this planet. They've been also using this technology, globally to locate their most expensive assets in the store, right? So consumers, they can interact with their phones, and they're not restricted. They're not kind of attached through the wire to the table because of this intelligent location, because of this location intelligence. But when they take the phone outside of the store, the technology will prevent people to act unethically and will kind of, bring them back. There's tons of customers. I always keep those slides. But what is extremely important here is that, it's not about location, right? It's about the data, right? So it's an example of another customer in the United States where the technology has been deployed, where they can see for the first time data they've never seen before, right? So for example, in this store, most of the traffic goes to the healthcare section first, to the pharmacy, and then they go browse other products, right? So they can now find what is the loss leader and how to build a strategy for specific region. Other type of data, the dwell time, like now they know very precisely where everyone is. So on the top you see, in the beauty department, people spend a lot of time, not that long in other departments, right? So you can see that these are like the new data that you can feed your machine learning, you can build statistics, that's all because of this location intelligence. And that location intelligence, those little computers, can be tiny. They could be integrated also with objects. So Guggenheim Museum is one of our customers. They put them behind the paintings. So when you show up there, your phone will guide you through the experience. You approach a sculpture or a painting, and the phone is going to tell you exactly who the painter was and what's the story behind it. Could be integrated into objects. This is one of the example of chair that's been have companion apps, so the chair knows about your behavior and so on. So those technologies, those little computers could also have different functions. So they could be connected to displays, and they can detect who you are, providing you with the contextual content, right? So when you land in Heathrow and your application in your phone doesn't know exactly what's the next flight and what's the gate, you don't have to search for your flight. You just approach one of those screens, the screen tell you, right? Because of the context of this location intelligence. So at Estimode, we have managed to build a community of more than 100,000 innovators worldwide. Why? Because of the problem of lack of dense data, lack of precision, and the problem of not being able to deploy this intelligence at scale, it's a problem everywhere the same on this planet, right? And the vision we have is very simple. Like, we believe into truly software-defined, physical world. We believe that there are technologies out there that they don't work. People spend 80% of time in the buildings. Businesses run in the buildings. Like, we really need a technology to be able to locate every atom in the building and optimize the business and workflows. So think about it that way. For the past 3 decades, the software was built for glass, like blinking pixels on the glass. Like, you move the mouse and the cursor moved into the region. It was called a button, and then someone named it application, and then that was the software. So someone designed and integrated, right? Well, that is so 99, right? Because of the wireless and beacons, that is the future. The physical world around us, the distribution centers, the retail stores, the healthcare, the schools, that is going to be the new canvas for the designers and the developers. And you will not be downloading apps for your phones. You'll be downloading apps for the physical places, and you'll be able to transfer those experiences into other places as well. So to finish the presentation, 2 months ago in the United States, one of the city town halls in Bay Area, there was a drill, there was a test, because in the United States there are some challenges with internal terrorism. So there was a test where they had to know where everyone is because of the security and emergency in order to protect their own people inside a building. There's no currently technology that can provide that information, if you have to deploy like a squad to rescue people where they are, right? So this is one of the technologies that, was tested, and, that is the future of the safety, and also that is the future of making sure that people don't act in an unethical way. So there's also legislation. There is an effort in the United States, it's called National Emergency Database, where every public building will have to have some sort of technology to provide, precise understanding and location for the people. Of course, providing the right opt-in and privacy mechanism. So, if you wanna learn a little bit more, it's really hard to explain everything within 15 minutes, but, I will be here for the entire day today. So I will be more than happy to share more information and, what the really future looks like. So thank you so much.
Do we have any questions for Jakub?
Hi, Jakub. Thanks so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Have your corporate clients ever come across privacy issues with data, and how do you get over that?
Yeah, so, again, it's all inspired by being ethical, right? So this technology is purely opt-in. So it means like you need to have sort of like a software in your pocket that you kind of opt in, you sign up for. So the way this is designed at the moment is that users visiting specific customer or specific building, when they download an app, they kind of opt in to specific experience they want. Of course, if this is an employee that is, his life is easier because of this technology, he is motivated to download the app and accept the location permission, right? But this is a purely opt-in technology. That's the beauty of it. These are not cameras. These are not like systems that can track you without your knowledge. This is a purely opt-in technology. Like at the end of the day, even though we have most of the customs in the United States, like it's a European heritage, and especially here in Central Europe, we care a lot about making sure that there's a right balance, and we make this technology kind of in an ethical applications and use.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the great presentations. We're going to have a networking break now, so whoever has questions for Jakub and Ben, feel free to join them in the networking area. Thank you.